Trung was 26 years old, a long-distance bus driver on the Lat Saigon route. He had a lean build, sun-darkened skin, deep-set eyes, and a quiet demeanor. Trung lived alone in a small rental room near the national highway, close to the interprovincial bus station. Among the driver community, they jokingly called him Crazy Trung, not because he acted out of line, but because he often claimed to witness strange things on the road and yet stubbornly continued to drive night routes alone. Tonight, Trung had a late-night trip scheduled to depart at 11 p.m. The bus wasn't full. Outside, a misty drizzle fell steadily, and the wind howled down from Prenn Pass. In the driver's cabin were just Trung, a bus assistant named Back Lock, and 13 passengers scattered across the double-decker sleeper bus. As Trung locked the door, he muttered to himself, "Cold tonight, hope the pass doesn't fog over." From the back Lock, carrying a bag of steamed buns, chuckled, "What are you worried about? You've driven this route for over a decade and still afraid of a little wind and mist?" Trung smiled faintly but didn't respond. Something felt off. Since stepping onto the bus, he'd had this strange chill on his back, like someone was standing behind him. But when he turned around, no one was there. The engine started with a low growl, and the wheels slowly rolled away from the station. An old bolero song played faintly on the radio. Trung pressed the gas pedal and glanced into the rearview mirror. A girl in a black coat was sitting in the very back seat on the lower level. Her head was bowed, long hair covering her face. Trung frowned and leaned toward Back Lock. "Did you check all the tickets?" "Yeah, 13 passengers total. There was a girl in black. Her face was pale as stone, cold, too." "But," he hesitated. "But what?" Trung asked sharply. I don't remember seeing anyone sitting in that last seat. I swear it was empty." A strong gust of wind shook the bus. Suddenly, there was a loud click, as if someone had opened a door mid-pass. Trung whipped his head around. The girl was gone. The back seat was empty. "Back Lock, did you see that?" Trung stammered. "I saw it too. There was definitely someone there." The cabin lights flickered once. Then the whole bus fell into silence. Outside, the wind howled louder, whistling like someone softly laughing, trailing behind them as the bus snaked through the winding mountain roads. The bus crept up the desolate mountain pass, surrounded by thick fog and rustling pines. Trung gripped the wheel tight, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. The seat was still empty, yet the feeling that someone was watching him from behind wouldn't go away. Suddenly, Back Lock gasped, "Trung, look over there." He pointed toward the roadside. Just ahead, under the pine trees, stood a girl in a black coat, her long hair covering her face, exactly like the one who vanished. "Is that the same girl?" Back Lock murmured. "No way. She disappeared inside the bus. How could she be out there ahead of us?" Trung slowed down. The headlights barely cut through the mist. The girl slowly turned her face. Her skin was ghostly pale. Her eyes were sunken voids, and her lips curled into a faint smile. Trung's hands clenched the wheel tighter. Cold sweat ran down his spine. "Don't stop. Just keep going," he said softly. Back Lock nodded. Neither spoke again, but both felt it. The bus drove past the girl. In that brief moment, Trung heard a whisper clearly in his ear, even though the windows were shut tight. "Can I ride with you for a bit?" A cold gust burst into the cabin. Trung snapped around and looked toward the back. She was there again. Same seat, same posture, head bowed, hair covering her face, but now, her body was dripping wet. Back Lock was trembling. "Trung, something's wrong, she's following us." "Don't say anything more," Trung hissed. "The passengers mustn't know." He faced forward, accelerating through the next turn. But something was off. The rearview mirror no longer showed anything behind, no seats, no passengers, just pure darkness. Trung flicked on the cabin lights. The light illuminated the bus. The back seat was empty. A male passenger from the upper bunk called out, "Hey driver, are we near Chuoi Pass yet? I swear, I've been hearing someone laughing in the back of the bus." Trung forced a calm tone. "About 30 minutes more, sir. Try to rest." But deep down, He knew, the night was far from peaceful. There was someone on board tonight. Someone who wasn't invited. Wind whistled through the cracks of the bus. The headlights caught glimpses of jagged rocks and twisted tree trunks. Everything outside seemed like they were silently watching the bus inch along the dark pass. Trung's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The mirror still showed only black. Back lock whispered. In 10 years of driving, I've never seen anything like this. Trung, this trip feels cursed. Please, stop talking. I need to focus. If the passengers panic, it'll get worse. Suddenly, a clack came from the luggage compartment. Then more noises, like someone rummaging inside. What now? Did you lock the back? Trung asked. I did. Tight. But now, sounds like someone's opening it. Trung switched on the rear camera. The screen glitched, then stabilized, showing a figure crouched at the back. The girl. She slowly turned her face. White, blank, and now, blood was seeping from the corners of her eyes. Trung quickly shut off the monitor. The bus swerved slightly, nearly hitting the side barrier. A moan echoed from mid-bus. A female passenger cried out. Driver, there's someone standing in the aisle. She has long hair, it reaches her waist. Trung swallowed hard. Don't worry, miss, you're just tired. We're almost past the pass. But she wasn't the only one. Another voice quivered. Something just walked past my legs. It was ice cold, and we're moving. Trung flipped on all the cabin lights. Brightness filled the space. Everyone fell silent, eyes drawn to the center aisle. Empty. But on the floor, a trail of wet footprints. Leading from the back seat, toward the driver's cabin. Back lock murmured, face pale. She's on the bus now. Trung, not all of us here are alive. Trung's heart pounded like a drum. Ahead was Prenn Pass, a stretch of road with no lights. No homes. No signal, infamous for accidents with no explanation. And the girl in the back seat might not be among the living. The bus began its descent. The curves were sharp, the headlights casting eerie patterns on the rocks. Everyone held their breath. No one spoke, just the hum of the engine and the ever-growing howls of the wind. Trung glanced at back lock. He sat frozen, gripping the armrest, peering out the window. Then he whispered, Trung, remember that girl earlier? Which girl? Back? The girl who got on at the intersection, when we stopped earlier. Back lock whispered. She wore a white sweater. Long hair. I couldn't see her face clearly. Trung's heart skipped a beat. I didn't see anyone like that. We only picked up one last male passenger. He was smoking by the road. Back lock slowly turned toward Trung. His eyes bloodshot. No, I saw her clearly. She stepped on board without a ticket. I was going to ask her, but suddenly, I felt this chill crawl down my back. I didn't dare speak. A scream came from a passenger in the back. Driver, someone's crawling under the seats. The bus erupted in panic. Trung immediately switched on all the lights. The aisle was empty. No one in sight, but a wave of cold seeped into everyone's limbs, even though the windows were tightly shut. A college student sitting in the back came running up to Trung. His face pale as chalk. Driver, please let me off. Anywhere. I'm not going any farther. We're in the middle of the mountain pass. It's dangerous to stop now. Just hang on. We're almost on flat road. The student stammered. But back at my seat, someone was breathing in my ear. It smelled like an old, rotting corpse. I can't take it anymore. Just then, thud, thud, came a noise from above. As if someone was walking on the roof. Trung slowed the bus. Back lock trembled. Trung, maybe we should pull over, light some incense, beg it to leave us alone? No, we can't stop here. Trung hissed through clenched teeth. We're on the slope, stopping now would be suicide. Suddenly, bang, a crack appeared in the rear windshield. As if something had slammed into it from the outside. A woman screamed. Before Trung could react, a shrill voice came from behind. It was thin, strained, like something being choked. Give me back my seat? The whole bus shuddered. Trung's body turned ice cold. Back lock shrieked. Trung, it's on the front of the bus. Trung looked through the windshield. On the hood was a pale, lifeless face, two empty black eye sockets. hair matted, dripping. It was crawling across the glass, grinning wide. Trung shouted, "Everyone, duck down, don't look at the windshield." He gripped the wheel tightly, glancing at back Locke, who was trembling violently, lips moving, likely chanting a prayer. In the rearview mirror, that ghostly face remained pressed against the glass, still smiling. Its eyes were voids, deep black holes. A woman sobbed, "Oh God, what did we do to deserve this?" Trung was drenched in cold sweat. He gently stepped on the gas, keeping the bus at a steady pace. His eyes never left the grotesque face slithering across the windshield. It didn't leap off or disappear. Just kept crawling, as if trying to push its way inside. Back Locke asked, voice quivering, "Trung, do you remember the death curve up ahead? That spot where years ago, a bus flipped over and killed dozens?" Trung froze. "Yes, why bring that up now?" Back Locke's eyes were wide. "I think she was one of them. That night, it was pouring rain. Strong wind, just like now. The driver couldn't brake in time. The bus plunged off the cliff, and no body came out whole." Trung bit his lip hard. He knew the curve back Locke was talking about. It was just minutes away. And that thing was still there. Then, a piercing laugh screeched through the air. And just like that, the ghost vanished from the windshield. But the bus shook violently. The steering wheel jerked in his hands. "Everyone hold on," Trung shouted. "We're approaching a sharp curve." The darkness opened ahead. The infamous death curve came into view, dimly lit by a lone streetlight. The wet road glistened under the beams. Trung slowed down, hands numb. Suddenly back Locke screamed, "Trung, someone's standing in the road." Trung gasped, honking the horn furiously. But the figure didn't move. The headlights revealed a girl in white, long hair hanging down, head tilted, face lowered. She raised her arm, pointed directly at Trung, and smiled. Trung slammed the brakes. Screech. The bus skidded sideways. Screams erupted. Belongings crashed to the floor. The bus halted at the cliff's edge, just inches from falling. One passenger sobbed uncontrollably. "Please, don't take us, please." Trung clung to the wheel, heart pounding like a drum. He looked to back Locke, who pulled a bundle of yellow spirit papers from his shirt pocket. Chanting, "You focus on driving, let me try something." He opened the side panel, tossed a few charms into the air. Wind whipped through the bus, carrying the papers into the night. And then, from the mountainside, a scream tore through the silence. No. And then, nothing. The wind fell still. Everything went eerily silent, like time itself had stopped. Trung, hands still shaking, whispered, "Did you hear that? Back Locke?" The old man nodded slowly. "I heard her voice. Like someone being dragged into hell." Trung restarted the engine, slowly reversing the bus back onto safe ground. The tires crunched over gravel. A passenger behind them burst into tears. "Thank God, we're alive, we're still alive." As they left the death curve behind, Trung turned to back Locke, voice choked with emotion. "Back, I think this is my last night shift. I can't take this anymore." Back Locke didn't answer right away. He stared out the window, then spoke softly. "Trung, when we stopped earlier, I glanced outside. I saw that girl in white standing in the road, holding her belly. Face smeared with blood, smiling crookedly. But when I threw the charms, she vanished." "You mean, she died in that crash?" Back Locke nodded. "Could be. Back then, there was a girl who went missing in that accident. They never found her body, only a pair of sandals with broken straps." Chills ran down Trung's spine. Inside the bus, the passengers were still shaken. Some were kneeling, praying. Others begged to be dropped off at the next safe spot. But suddenly, the lights flickered. Click, click, then went completely dark. Panic set in. "What happened, driver? Why are the lights off?" Trung scrambled to flip the switches. Cabin lights, radio, nothing worked. Back Locke silently pulled out another charm, lit it with the end of his cigarette. "Trung, I don't think they're done with us yet. Pull over. Let's rest a bit. I need to pray to the spirit guarding this mountain." Trung nodded, slowly steering the bus to the roadside. The night air was freezing, but sweat poured down his face. He turned back and said, "Please, everyone stay quiet for a moment. Back lock is performing a ritual." A young woman in the back asked softly, "Do you need us to offer anything too?" Back lock called out, "If anyone has spare change or incense, wrap it in a white cloth and place it by the front step, quickly." A couple wrapped a few 5 Vietnamese dong's notes in a baby cloth and gently placed it on the floor. Suddenly, a strong wind blasted into the bus, violently flapping the curtains. Then, slam, the door swung open on its own. Gasps filled the bus. In that hazy moment under back lock's flashlight, someone caught a glimpse. A withered hand reached up from beneath the bus floor, trembling, and then vanished. A passenger screamed, "Oh my God, someone's crawling onto the bus." Trung lunged to slam the door shut. But what made his blood run cold was what he saw in the rearview mirror. The previously empty back seat now had someone sitting in it. A girl, with soaked long hair, wearing a white dress, her head tilted to the side. She sat motionless, eyes staring straight toward the front cabin. Trung didn't even dare breathe. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. The girl didn't move, not a blink, not a twitch. Back lock followed Trung's gaze. He immediately pulled out another talisman and whispered, "Heaven above, spirits beyond, please protect us through this trial." Trung gathered every bit of courage, voice trembling. "Can someone go to the back, check if there's a stranger on board?" The whole bus fell into dead silence. A student spoke up, "No one dares. Driver, but that seat's empty. I just looked. No one's there." Trung frowned, still watching the mirror. "Then, can you guys count everyone again? See if we really have 30 passengers?" There were murmurs, then faint counting. 1, 2, 3, 17, 22, 29. Silence. A young woman cried out in horror. "Oh God, we're missing one, there are only 29 people." An older man spoke up quietly. "No, that's not right. I remember clearly. We had 30 when we boarded." Trung lowered his voice. "No, we did have 30, but now only 29. That means one of them isn't alive." A girl sitting mid-bus burst into tears. I saw her clearly earlier. That white shadow stood next to me. She leaned in and breathed. It smelled metallic. Like blood." The bus went deadly quiet. Trung turned to back lock. "What now, back?" Back lock didn't reply right away. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pouch. Inside were a few strands of hair and a sewing needle. Then he whispered, "I'll borrow a child's spirit to lure it out. No one opens the door. No one looks back." Then he began chanting softly. "On stormy nights the demon rides. Lost souls drift on the moon's tide. Call once, farewell a life. Call twice, farewell a vengeful ghost." Suddenly, the girl in the back seat arched violently backward, mouth gaping open, her eyes rolled wide, and, crack, her neck snapped to the side. Blood poured from her mouth, running down the seat. Screams filled the bus. People shoved each other. Some covered their faces in terror. Trung leapt up, slammed the doors, and floored the gas pedal. "Back, I have to drive. We can't stay here." Back lock nodded. "Go. Just 3 more kilometers, we'll reach the mountain shrine. They can't follow us there." The bus roared like a wounded beast, tearing through the pitch-black night. From the back, a soft laugh echoed, followed by a girl's wailing voice, both crying and giggling. "Take me home? I'm cold. I'm so cold." Trung drove like mad, hands locked on the wheel. Sweat poured from his face despite the freezing Lat air. The wind shrieked through the windows, making the bus feel like it was riding through some endless hallway in the underworld. Beside him, back lock held a waxed paper bundle in both hands, chanting without pause. Each time the ghostly crying grew louder behind them, he chanted even harder. A student shouted from mid-bus, "It's crawling on the roof. It's looking down at us." Everyone screamed. Some curled up in their seats, arms wrapped tightly over their heads. Thump, thump, came the sound from above, like something crawling slowly on all fours, pacing, stalking. Then came a child's voice, young, hollow. "Who let them borrow my body? Give it back." Give it back to me. Back Lock gripped the pouch tightly and yelled. You're being lured. Don't answer. Stay silent. Trung swallowed hard, glancing into the mirror. The girl from earlier, the one who had screamed and collapsed, was now sitting up. Her head still twisted unnaturally to the side. Face covered in blood, but she was smiling awkwardly. We're cold, so cold, please. Driver, open the door. Let us out for a bit. Trung gritted his teeth. No, I'm not stopping. I'm not opening anything. The girl tilted her head, unblinking. Then, we'll open it ourselves. Click. The back door handle moved. Luckily, Trung had locked it earlier. Back Lock raised his talisman high and shouted. Spirits who linger in the living world, return now to where you belong. Life and death walk separate paths. Do not meddle with another's fate, leave. A wisp of mist floated through the bus interior. Just then, the bus jolted to a stop. Trung reflexively hit the brakes. Ahead was a foggy intersection. A sign read, Prenn Pass stop 1 kilometer. Back Lock cried. Almost there. Drive. Stop at the shrine, now. Trung floored it again. The engine roared, drowning out the cries from behind. Exactly 1 kilometer later, the bus rolled to a stop near a small roadside rest station. Across the road stood a low, old shrine with incense smoke swirling into the air. Back Lock jumped out first and opened the rear door. He grabbed 3 sticks of incense, stabbed them into the ground before the bus, and shouted, Wandering spirits, if there's any unfinished fate, leave it here. If your time has ended, follow the smoke and go. The realms are divided. Life and death must part ways. A cold gust swept through. The bus shuddered one last time, then fell silent. The girl collapsed. This time, her body was cold, truly lifeless. Trung and Back Lock exchanged a long, shaken look. Back Lock sighed. One life lost. Let's hope no more are taken. Trung whispered. What about the others? Are they still here? Back Lock didn't respond. He looked toward the shrine and bowed slightly. There's one more night. This isn't over yet.